I get talking too much. Hello everybody, Dave England here. How is the family? How's the family? Hope everyone's doing okay. It is Wednesday. It's Wind Down Wednesday or Wine O'Clock, however you want to look at it. That is some good tea. I'm just going to check my things here to make sure everything is lined up, because sometimes you never know. Yep, I got the right mics picked. That's good. It's a crazy day. It was pretty cold out. Went for a walk with the dogs and the wife, and it was cold. November is here, and winter is here. Yeah, some sad news today. Kanye West dropped out of the race. No, this is not a replay of a previously recorded video. No, he dropped out a while ago. I just thought that would be interesting to say. Anyway, Kanye. So I've got a guest tonight, and I'm really, really excited. But I want to start the segment out with something that you guys love. It's called Did You Know? But let me just start by saying it is episode 82, and it's Wednesday, November 17th, 2020. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Go ahead and just click on, type in your name, type in where you're from. I just want to know where you're from. Where are you guys from? If anybody's listening, I'm sharing this feed across pretty much all of New England. It's getting out there. Let's see. Entrepreneurs, musicians, there's all kinds of pages I'm sharing this to. So let me know what page you are watching from. That would be great. So my name's Dave England. If this is your first time here, just go ahead and hit the follow button, and we'll get started with the next segment, shall we? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Bob's here from Maryland. Move you down here. From Maryland. How you doing, Bob Goldberg? Good seeing you again. Hey, thanks for showing up all these nights. I only do Wednesday, but last night I was on. It was kind of a weird thing. We had to bring a guest on last night. So, because she was going to be on 2 weeks ago, and it just didn't work out. So anyway, 2 nights in a row this week. Did you know NASCAR drivers can lose up to 10 pounds in sweat due to high temperatures during races? Did you know? Did you know the Aurora Borealis has a sister phenomenon in the southern hemisphere called the Aurora Australis? Yeah, the Aurora Australis. I bet you didn't know that. Let me turn this thing down. Bet you didn't know that. Your funny bone is actually a nerve. Did you know? It's a nerve. A California woman tried to sue the makers of Captain Crunch. Remember that? Captain Crunch cereal? She tried to sue the makers of Captain Crunch after she learned that crunch berries were not real berries. She actually went to court, and the judge said there's no such thing as crunch berries. Could have saved her some money there. 1 in 3 divorce filings include the word Facebook. Be careful on Facebook. Don't get too friendly on Facebook. 1 in 3 divorces. Isn't that interesting? In the filings include the word Facebook. Did you know the IKEA catalog is the most widely printed book in history? IKEA. Everyone loves themselves an IKEA magazine. I love going in there for their Swedish meatballs. Tonight I'm drinking Earl Grey. I'm actually laying off the sauce a little bit. Just want to get into some tea, and it's been great. It's been like 5-6 days, 5 or 6, but who's counting? Oh, got some people here. I'll introduce you as soon as I get done with this. I see some people signing in. Research shows that all blue-eyed people may be related. All blue-eyed people. Did you know the cracking sound your joints make when you crack your knuckles? You know when you do this? It's actually the sound of gases being released. I bet you didn't know that. Scotland has more than 400 words for snow. I bet you didn't know that. And here's the first interactive, okay? So put your thinking hats on. Someone tried to sell something on eBay, but it was stopped once the bid reached $3,000. So if you can remember that, what was it? What were they trying to sell? And then the bid, eBay actually cut it off and stopped it at $3,000. Very interesting. Just type in eBay and what you think it is. Did you know Manhattan tap water isn't kosher? I actually said that last night because I just like that. Manhattan tap water isn't kosher. I did not know that. Water bottle expiration dates are for the bottle, not for the water. The city of Boring. Yes, that's right. There's a city called Boring. There is a sister city to the city Boring. What's the name of that sister city? Just type in Boring and what you think the sister city is. McDonald's once tried to sell a certain flavored broccoli to encourage kids to eat healthier. What was the flavor? There's the third interactive. All right. The combination of a question mark followed by an exclamation mark is called an interrobang. That's right. The combination question mark, exclamation mark that so many of us overuse in text messages has a name. It was invented in the 1960s by an ad man named Martin Spector, who wanted to lend typographical form to all the messages behind the advertising campaigns that were both questions and exclamations. So think about got milk. That was actually got milk, question mark, exclamation. And can you hear me now? All right, we're done. Those are interesting, huh? Actually, let me go back to this. I wanted to show you what that looks like. Look at this. Interrobang. Is that cool? That's a band. What a great band name. And that little white symbol at the end, the question mark, exclamation, that's an interrobang. Ladies and gentlemen, the Interrobangs. I think that's a great name for a band. Someone has to come up with that. Okay, let's see who's here, and then we'll add up all the things here. Luz is here. Luz Sosa from, and she's not saying it. Luz here from blank. Great having you on last night, Luz. That was great. If anyone hasn't seen that episode, watch it. Last night's episode 81, I believe. It was great. She was on talking about her artwork. What a talented woman, and she's going places. She is going, but you got to watch her art. I highlight her. Highly recommend her. Bob Goldberg doing great. Luz is here. Luz here from Rhode Island. Okay, you lost the Rhode Island unless it was typed really small. It was typed really small. You could have put an interrobang in there. I would have caught it. I love and regularly use the interrobang. But you didn't right there. You used a half terabang. Half interrobang. Ah, there you are. You corrected yourself. All right, you ready? Someone tried to sell something on eBay, but it was stopped. Once the bid reached $3,000, what was it? Charlie Weaver to block? Come on, anyone want to guess? And then the second one is there's a city called Boring, and it has a sister city called what? True story. Lastly, McDonald's once tried to sell a certain flavored broccoli. What was that flavor? And it was to encourage kids to eat healthier. Anybody? Does any? Type it fast. You're typing too fast. You got to slow down. Slow down. Rip some paper up and tape it on your fingers and make your fingers slow down. All right, I'm just going to say, because no one's guessing, but I am giving you the opportunity. Someone tried to sell New Zealand on eBay, but was stopped once the bid reached $3,000. eBay caught it and said, you can't sell New Zealand. But it got up to $3,000. All right, there's a city called Boring, and it has a sister called Dull. Dull. I live in Dull. Where do you live? I live in Boring. Cool. No, it's not. It's boring. Um, Boring is in Oregon. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know where it was. So the sister city might be in Oregon too? Oregon? Dull, Oregon? Boring, Oregon? Leave it to Bob. Bob knows. Bob, you know your stuff. That's cool, huh? Interrobangs. I like interrobangs. So next week, I do this is the National Whatever Day, National Interrobang Day. But since the show goes live 9 o'clock, I feel like it's the end of the day. So starting next week, I'm going to be talking about tomorrow's National Day. So that way you got a little head start. So if tomorrow is National Interrobang Day, you could start your day typing away all the interrobangs you want. Go hog wild. Somebody's got to look that up. Why is hog wild related to crazy? Well, we know. If you ever fall in a pit. All right, but today we're going to do On This Day. Ready? On this day. I got some scary, depressing news that happened on this day. This guy happened on this day on November 18th, 1978. Remember him? You remember this guy. People's Temple founder Jim Jones leads hundreds of his followers in a mass murder-suicide at the agricultural commune in a remote part of South American nation of Guyana. I remember that very, very well. Many of Jones' followers willingly ingested a poison-laced punch, while others were forced to do so at gunpoint. The final death toll at Jonestown that day was 909, although that can be disputed. I heard 919. A third of those who perished were children. That was very sad news. 1978, Jim Jones. And ever since then, the whole drink the Kool-Aid thing, that came from that event. Yeah, 1978. I won't keep that on the screen that long because that's kind of depressing. But the next one's not as depressing. Let's see. Bob has a question. I remember that all too well. Many people still drink the Kool-Aid. Yes, they do. They still drink the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid. Ready? So I'm going to cheer things up a little bit. It's someone's birthday. I don't know if you know whose birthday it is. You know whose birthday it is? Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse's birthday. He's 92. Wow. I should have put an interrobang after that. On November 18th, Mickey Mouse's birthday commemorates the debut of the lovable mouse that was once a rabbit called Oswald. His character got his start on film on November 18th, 1928. But before that, the story begins in 1927 when Walt Disney first sketched a floppy-eared bunny while under contract to Universal Studios. The events that unraveled brought us to Mickey Mouse. While his creator and studio have applied several different birth dates to the lovable mouse over the years, 1928 was finalized as Mickey's birth date, November 18th. Before that, Mickey Mouse came under the roller coaster events of Oswald's success and Universal's disappointing contract negotiation. Disney Brothers Studio took their leave of both the studio and Oswald and set to work creating a character who would go on to lead the company into the future. From a rabbit named Oswald to a mouse named Mortimer, eventually the squeaky-voiced rodent was dubbed Mickey. He flopped in 2 animated short films without any success. Then, on November 18th, tonight, 92 years ago, 1928, Mickey's star was born, the first animated synchronized to music and sound effects, Steamboat Willie, premiered in New York. I went long on that description because it's Mickey, right? It's Mickey Mouse. And I wanted to keep that up longer than the Jim Jones thing, so it kind of erased it, You know when you get those, Casey and the Sunshine Band songs in your head and you wish you could erase it? Well, that just erased that Kool-Aid guy. Don't even know his name now. So now I'm going to erase Mickey with something different. Oh no! Oh, I didn't. Oh no! I made a mistake. What is going on? I just. Yes, I did. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading words to something else. This is what I was going to talk about. All right. On this day, November 18th, 1902, Brooklyn toy maker names the teddy bear after U.S. President Teddy Roosevelt. Morris Mitchtom was a Russian-born businessman and inventor who, with his wife Rose, invented the teddy bear in 1902. They founded the Ideal Novelty and Toy Company, which, after Mitchtom's death, became the largest doll-making company in the United States. And that photo on the left is the original Teddy. The photo on the right is, of course, Teddy. And the animated GIF in the front is not Teddy, but it's an animated GIF that can be found at Giphy.com. All right, enough of that. Enough of that. I never owned a teddy bear. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. Tonight you're in for a treat. It is 9:16. Grab your wine, grab your drinks, grab your Earl Grey tea. This is really, really good. I used to love tea back in the day. My grandma Rose, she used to drink tea all the time. And she used to burn her toast and take a knife and scrape the toast, the burnt part, into the garbage all the time. And I used to tell her, Grandma, why don't you just not burn it? You don't have to do that. And she didn't know what I was talking about. Love her to pieces. But she always drank tea. I started drinking tea in the early 70s, mid 70s. And now I'm back. This is good. With my orange inside. Something about black and orange. Good color scheme. You guys ready? You guys ready for a guest? A guest and a half? Tonight you're in for a treat. My guest is Resin Ed. This guy, he is super cool. He's a creative looping musician in a one-man orchestra for over 9 years. A native of Providence, Rhode Island. Resin Ed plays on stage all by himself. He's played all over New England, and I wish we could see him live tonight. But I have a 2-minute clip I want you to watch before I bring him on and we interview him and find out what makes this man tick or loop. Resin Ed, there you are.
How you
How
doing,
are you,
buddy?
Ed?
I'm good.
Good. You're a little off center. Just move to your right.
Yeah,
There you go.
there we go.
Are you're looking off camera too? I think you gotta
Yeah,
kind
the
of.
camera's like kind of on the left side, and I want to look at you for some reason. You're on the right side, so it's gonna look like I'm kind of looking to the left a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it. That is some fat synth bass there. That is funky. I love that song.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do it. Be able to do it all by yourself.
And
And yeah, bass sounds is where my sound is resides. I love to rattle the chest.
yeah, yeah, that's great. You get some low subsonic sounds in there. So when you're playing live, you
Yep.
must miss playing live first of all. But you get a lot of people dancing at your shows.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, when the mood is right and people are in the mood to dance, then that's the goal. That's definitely the goal is to get people moving. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But but yeah, I mean, I've still played some shows through the quarantine. They've but one of the strict rules has been no dancing.
Really? Is that because generating
Yeah.
heat?
Yeah, and I think when people dance, they kind of want to be a little. They tend to get closer to each other, and whoever wrote the rules wrote in no dancing.
Wow,
Yep.
I did not know that. I haven't been to a club in months and months and months. So, do you start to fill the place, or is it even limited when it comes to that?
Yeah, it's definitely limited. I did one show in a restaurant in East Greenwich. That was the first show that I did, and yeah, they had everybody at tables. You had to reserve a table before you got there. They reached capacity that night, but it wasn't like the place was packed.
Yeah,
Um,
COVID packed.
but yeah, and then they got the Pump House down in South County that's been doing a lot of
Right.
shows, and they've been doing them outside, and those shows don't get packed, but they have a big space for a lot of people to be there.
I love the
Sitting at
Pump House. Pump House is great. Great bands are playing there. So,
Yeah, for sure.
when were you there? Recently?
I was there about 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay. And where did you play in East Greenwich?
Um, oh God, this is bad. Something tavern. I don't remember exactly.
Tavern on the Hill? Is it?
Tavern
No.
on Main Street, I think.
Tavern on Main. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, that's
Okay,
what it was.
cool. So tell me about the name Resin Ed. I want to know. I don't know. Where did you come up with that? Why? Because your name and your
I've
real
got a
name is
short answer.
Brian.
Yeah, I've got a short answer and a long answer.
We'll
I'll
take the
start with
long
the
one.
short one.
We'll do the long
Well,
one. The long one's good.
okay, all right. So it all started off years ago. My cousin used to call me a snake, just out of cousinly love. There's like a battle between us, and he'd always call me a snake. And then
Yep.
he started calling me an Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake, which he shortened to Ed. And then he started calling me Ed, and all of his friends started calling me Ed. Where all of a sudden a group of people only knew me as Ed. And
Really?
yep. And then then one day my same cousin he goes, you know what you should call yourself? You should call yourself Ed Ed Reznor, like Trent Reznor of the Nine Inch Nails, because he's a one man band. He writes all the music himself.
Yep.
And when he said Ed Reznor, something clicked in my head, and it was when Resin Ed came to me, and then Resin Ed works on multiple levels for me too, because for years I grew pot to fund my music project. So my music project was a product of pot culture. In the same way, when you smoke your bowl and resin gets left in the bowl, I hope that when you hear my songs, my music sticks in your head like resin on a pipe.
Wow. Oil dripping through your earlobes.
Yep.
Interesting. All right. So that's a long story. It's like it started with something, and then became something, and then something, and then and then it's there. I would have never
Yep.
guessed that.
Yep. The short version I always give people is because Resin Brian doesn't sound good.
Resin Brian. Yeah, yeah. But your
Yep.
real name is Brian, but you're Resin Ed. Has Resin Ed as an act ever had other musicians with you, or is it just solely solo?
It's been mostly solo. A lot of times I'll have musician friends hop up for a song or two. Um, I've done a couple shows where I've called it the Resin Heads, where I've got a full band of people playing my songs, and that was a lot of fun to be able to get a whole backing group. So I've done that twice. Um, and then my buddy Matty Obadashian, who's a great keyboardist. He and I created our own project, and we called it the Resin Heads. And him and I wrote a lot of songs together.
Yeah.
Um, and Yeah, but we did the same thing. It was looping, and I would loop some of his keyboard stuff, and he'd play keys, and we would do harmonies over it. And then we actually added a female singer to that, and then
Wow.
that lasted for a little while, which sounded amazing. I wish that project went farther than it did, but like many musical acts, they don't work in the long term.
Yeah, why is that? People get bored, or they just they're in other. I've noticed that lately. There's a lot of musicians are in multiple bands. You think that's the reason
Yeah.
why?
That I mean that could work, you know. Um, but I would say that to keep a band together is more difficult than keeping a marriage together because you got just your typical band's gonna have four people in it, and when you get four people, in their 20s and 30s and sometimes 40s, trying to align their lives and their life's passion to all go in the same direction for an extended period of time, um, it it doesn't always go the way that everybody wants it to.
Yeah, you have to line up your goal, or like what are you going to become, or what are you going to do. There's so
Yeah.
much that has to be.
Yep.
Usually, when musicians get together, they don't talk about that stuff. It's just, hey, what are you listening to lately? And then they gel, but they never really stop and say, wait, are you really? Are we made for each other here? Because if if we're not lined up,
Yep.
we could sound good together, but we'll break up in 6 months.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes, it takes 8 or 9 years before a band even starts really getting their feet under them and running with it. So to get to that point of having such good music and such good chemistry together really, really is it's the diamonds in the rough for sure.
Yeah. Did you start as a bass player, Brian, or
Nope, I started as a singer actually.
yeah?
I was the front man to two different bands. One was a hard rock band back in like 2000, 2003, 2004, 2005 ish, and we were together for like 5 years. We did a lot of music, and then the drummer got their girlfriend pregnant, and that was pretty much the end of the band. And then I played in another band, which was more like a rock jazz ish kind of a band, and I was just the front man for that band too. And then the drummer got their girlfriend pregnant in that band too, and we broke up.
The same drummer or the same girlfriend?
Nope, nope, different group of people totally.
Different.
Just same circumstance. And
Yeah.
then and then once I became a one man band and became a drummer, I was going at it for a couple years, and once I become a drummer, I got my girlfriend pregnant, and that slowed my project down quite a bit for a while.
You did. I was just going to make a joke about that. You actually did that. You should know better.
Yep.
You should never have hired yourself.
Oh, I know. Yeah, case of the drummers.
The drum. Wow, something about the stool. Um, so, what's your motivation behind doing the one man band? Because you could have been doing band stuff. Was that what it was? You just didn't want to be a godfather to drummer kids.
Yeah, well, yeah. After seeing those bands break up and just understanding the dynamics of what it takes to keep a band together, I knew it was something that I really, really wanted to do. Um, but I knew how difficult it was actually going to be to do so. So I wanted to take a route that I thought would be more long-term sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I started doing it all myself. But the hard thing was that I only really could sing well at that point in time. I couldn't really play the guitar that well, um, or really do any of the instruments really well. So I had to teach myself how to do everything. And
Wow.
uh, so yeah, it's about being able to do something, and the only person I have to argue with about the band is me.
Yeah, you call all the shots. You sound great. I love this stuff. I've been listening to it all day.
Thank you. I
Really, really
appreciate that.
good. And that's the thing. I mean, it's like it's soul focused. I mean, it's just you. If you don't want to
Yep.
play a gig, you don't have to. It's not like the other guy wants to and you don't. There's none of that. So you know, but then there's no one to fall back on too. Have you ever
That
had
is
musicians
very.
jam with you and say, "Dude, we should start something," and you're like, "No, I like what I got going here. I like the one man thing."
Yeah, even since I've done the one man thing, I have tried to start little projects here and there with some buddies. But again, the same thing, same thing I'm up against, trying to align 4, 5, 6 guys together to have the same, and have their schedules be open and be able to practice enough that the songs are sounding good when you get out there and play them live.
Right,
And it's always a real difficult.
right. So you use
Yeah.
you lay down the rhythm. Has looping affected your songwriting in any way?
Yeah, definitely. When I first started doing it, I remember living in a house and I drove my roommates crazy because I just put on a loop and be like, how do I solo over this? And I just sit there for an hour on the same loop going around and around. And for me, it was a lot of fun. But for anybody sitting there listening to me, they're like, oh my God, pulling their hair out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for with the looping though, it's a lot more limited to what you can do, especially when it comes to changes in
Right.
songs. Transition from having like an intro to a verse to a chorus and a bridge and back to a chorus. I the confined limits of the looper that I use.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. So what are some of the worst things by being in a one man band? What are you up against? What do you
The
wish you
worst
could
part about it
change?
is
Yeah.
having to lug all the equipment every single time I've got a show.
Oh, right, right.
Because usually I'll have it set up at a house, and then I have to go break it down, which takes about 45 minutes to get it all packed up and into a car, then drive to wherever I'm going, set it all up, which takes another 45 minutes, and then play the show. And at the end of the show, it's 45 minutes to break it down, get it to the car, and then take all the shit out and bring it back into the house, and
Mm-hmm.
and then be motivated enough the following week to set up and get ready for practice again.
Yeah, but after like 9 years, you got to be realizing, okay, I've really got to just bring the basics. Did you ever have a
Yeah,
fuller set and then you're like, no, I got to only bring this. It's all I need.
yeah, I've definitely toned it. I've definitely broken it down a little bit, but not much. Not much. I kind of need everything that I have out there.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing I've really limited was I used to bring a whole drum set of the electronic drum set that I have.
Yep.
I used to bring a whole set with cymbals and everything, and now I've just toned it down to just kick, snare, and hi hat.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
So
with the
so that's good.
yep. No, go
You were
ahead.
gonna say something. So that's one negative side. The other negative side is when you're having a bad day on stage, you got nobody to fall back on. And I've had some shows I've been absolutely ashamed of walking off stage. But
Oh
but
boy.
then also I've had plenty of shows where I walk off and I'm just like, holy shit, that was the best thing ever.
So what makes it good and bad? What do you think it is?
Um, it could be my mood not being right, being overtired.
Yep.
Maybe sometimes having one too many before I get on stage, and I'm you know there's there's a there's a fine balance to it all. And then sometimes just the equipment can break down when I'm on stage, and you got to make some audibles and
Yeah.
go in different directions than you planned. Um, but yeah, it's mostly me if I'm having a good day or not. If I'm having a bad day, I don't have my bassist or drummer to lean back on and have them kind of lead the show.
Yeah, you got to be on point like all the time because you're entertaining in a way too. So,
Yep.
um,
And sometimes if you when I the first loop that I lay down every time has to be done perfectly. And if it's not, uh, it can ruin about 10 minutes of music on stage. And so yeah, it's a high risk musical endeavor for sure.
wow. Yeah, yeah. I've done that recently, and I've made a few mistakes. I'm like, oh, the loop's bad. You just stop it, start it over again. But
Yeah.
it's just not. It's not the same.
Yep. One of the things that you could do that I've learned if you're doing looping is to put a click track in your ear so that you can keep yourself on time when you're recording that first loop
Oh,
to
that's a
put
good
everything
point.
over. And
Sure.
if you get the click track in your ear, it kind of takes out some of your own human error that comes into play.
Yeah, because you might get the first to the third beat and the fourth, and then it's like you start to slow, and the whole
Yeah.
influctuation.
Yep.
Interesting. I never thought of that. A little click in the air. Good. Hopefully, we're not
Yep.
talking over anyone's brains there. But if anyone has a question for Brian, so we had we had one guy, John Selby. He's like, "What is this? How do I close this window?" I'm like, "Do you know him?"
I don't,
I don't
but
know
I
how he's on watching.
but
I
I
guess
did
he's.
I did find when I was watching your podcast before, when you go to exit out, sometimes it like goes and like puts itself up in the top corner of the screen.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So he could have possibly accidentally clicked on there and was
yeah. You
confused
can.
by what's going on.
Facebook allows you to still peruse through Facebook while you're watching that. So
Yeah,
that's what
which was
happened.
actually kind of nice.
So Bob Goldberg has a question. I'm not musically inclined. Can you describe looping for me? Good question.
Um, so basically, looping, you have to have a looping pedal, um, and you have to have some kind of an instrument going into the looping pedal. There you go. He's going. Is that the Boss? The Boss loop station?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the mini version of the one that I have. But in short, looping is pretty much you can put a guitar into there, you can put a drum into there, you can put a bass into there, and anything that you record into that, like you press the button to start, and then you could record for 8 seconds, and then once you press the button again, it loops over and over again what you just recorded in.
Mm.
And so for me, what I do is I put all my instruments into a mixer so that any instrument that I so any sound I make on stage can be looped if I want to.
So that's what you do. So you're running everything through a mixing board. So at any given time, you can just pull the fader off of the bass, and then the bass is still there, but there's no sound coming through.
Yep, I just mute the once I put the bass down, I just mute the bass track and pick something else up and unmute it and go from there.
Oh, so it's a question of looping and then turning on and off tracks to kind of bring things up and down.
Yep.
That makes sense. Bob says he's got it. Got it. Thanks. Looping is great. I mean, yeah, just so Bob, just go to YouTube and look up looping musicians. There a lot of them are like you see a lot of them like busking, sidewalks and cities and stuff, and it's some great
Yeah,
great
I've noticed
stuff
that
out there.
there's some, and it's great too because everybody that does looping seems to come out with like a very unique style of music that comes out of it.
Right.
Just kind of like any three-piece band, to get three different people coming together. Not every three-piece band is going to sound the same. Uh, you know, everybody's got their own style and twist.
Yeah, playing the same instrument, but they sound radically different. So you've been doing this for going on to 10 years. What's kept you
Yep.
going?
Certainly isn't the money. It's the love for it, 100%.
Yeah.
And the community of people I play with, keeping in touch with everybody, and there's nothing I like more than playing music for people and like winning a room over and getting a whole room of people to dance is always my number one goal, and there's not a better feeling in the world.
Yeah, yeah. And knowing that you created that and then they're having a great time because of what you just did.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Um, so let's see. Would you ever consider his Lou? So she was on last night's show. She's a abstract painter. Would you ever consider doing a live show and explaining how you start a song for beginners? So you've done
Um,
live shows, obviously.
yeah, yeah, I've done live shows for sure. I've always thought about it actually, is to do a tutorial just to give people an idea of exactly how it is that I do it, and maybe they could take what they learned from my tutorial and turn it into their own project.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's a guy, Zach Deputy, who's a looping artist. He does it in a little bit different way. He does beatboxing rather than using a drum set.
Oh, I
So
think I
he
heard
does
that guy.
yeah, he's amazing. And he's an amazing guitar player, great singer, and but he has his own take on it. But when I saw him, he's the one that showed me that it was possible to really create a party with just one person.
Yeah, so he beatboxes right in a microphone. He uses no other instruments, right?
Yeah, yep, and he's even got different microphones for different like he has like a microphone just for the bass sound to give like a really ballsy bass sound, and then other
Wow.
ones for more like that replicate the snare and the hi-hat.
Right. So Luz, she made a mistake. She meant live on Facebook. So not just playing live, but have you thought of going live on Facebook with your
Um,
show?
I think if I was doing a tutorial, I'd probably rather do it where I could cut it and edit it, because
Yeah.
I really wouldn't necessarily know exactly how to do it and doing it live is a little more pressure too. But I mean, I've done live streams. I did one from the Fet in earlier in the year, and that was just a live show. There's no crowd in the audience. It was just completely streamed live.
Right, right.
But yeah, yeah, I think I've kind of wanted to do that for a while, but I
Mm.
also didn't. I also wasn't sure if I wanted to give away all my secrets. But
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. Then they'll be making all the money, right?
yeah, yeah,
um,
all the money that doesn't exist.
so Brian, tell me about some of your influences. Who, other loopers, or is it not even loopers? Who inspires you to write your songs?
Well, Zach Deputy was the guy that was the big influence behind the showing me how to really create a project. But um, but influences, you know, grew up. My parents listened to the Beatles and Paul Simon, so that's at the
Oh,
very
I just
base of
lost
my
your audio.
musical.
Hello?
When it's back on.
I just lost your
You
audio.
still there? How about now? Can you hear me now?
You still there, Brian?
I am. Can you hear me?
You're coming in really choppy, and I can't hear you at all. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, everything's working on my end.
Still not speaking.
Everybody, let me know if you can
Yeah, I
hear
didn't. I
me
didn't.
and if you can hear Brian. I know I can hear me. Not sure if anyone else can hear.
I didn't hit
I
the
can
mute
hear
button or anything
him.
like that.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I cannot hear him. Nothing's muted. Huh.
Let me see if I
There you are.
mute.
Nope, I can hear you now.
Yeah, that's weird. I pressed the mute button and then unmuted it, and I guess that fixed the problem somehow.
Ah, there you go. Yep. It's always shutting it off, turning it back on again. So,
Yeah.
yeah, big influence. Sorry about that.
So yeah, I was saying, my parents listened to the Beatles and classic rock, Paul Simon, all sorts of stuff. So I remember the Beach Boys was probably one of my first loves as a kid musically. Um, but uh, but then I got into like '90s hip hop really big. It was when I was a teenager. So '90s hip hop, and then and
Have you
then
ever
I
heard of?
shamefully turned to rap rock, like the Rage Against the Machine and
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit era.
Have you heard
Shamefully, I
of
used to like
Urban
those
Dance
guys.
Squad?
Urban Dance Squad. No, I haven't.
Oh, look them up. They
Urban
should have been
Dance Squad.
bigger. Yeah, they were great.
Yep. Um. So then I listened to like really hard rock music. That's the reason I picked up the guitar, was to play really chunky metal type riffs.
Yeah.
Um. And then I had a big shift in my direction musically, where I was at a music festival, Gathering of the Vibes. It
Mm-hmm.
was in 2000. It was in 2007 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It was the year that James Brown died,
Oh, really?
and it's about a 10 to 20,000 person festival, and this band Deep Banana Blackout played a set, and and I remember being in the perfect mind frame for the show. And literally, there was 10,000 people in the show, and there was not one person that was not dancing as hard as they possibly could. And for me, that was a real mind bending experience, and to see the way the energy went through that crowd. From that day forward, I was determined to play dance music of some sort or another.
That's great. That is awesome. It's powerful because dance music, you can see it visually. You can see the audience getting into
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There's nothing better than that.
It's like you're feeding them, like you're serving them something. Whereas if it's just an original song that might be deep, they're just standing there listening to it. And you don't really know if you've delivered until they come up to you after and say, hey, that was really great, that third song. What was that? I love it. Right? But
Yep.
dance music is
Yep.
like, I know you all like it. You're dancing. You got to like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and even in dance music too, one of the keys is to like play a bunch of danceable songs and then go into the one deep song and give everybody's legs a break for a second,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then go back into it afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I love about Talking Heads. There's some great playing in that band. And then
Oh God, yeah, I love the Talking Heads.
you got Remain in Light. I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Don't get me
and
started on that.
the
Um,
Grateful Dead are definitely like the grandpas of the music scene that I play in too. So got to tip my hat to them too.
yeah, yeah. That's cool. So where do you see yourself going from here?
Oh God, um,
Where do you
I
see
don't know.
yourself in 5 years? No, where do you? I'm
Um,
kidding about that.
yeah, no. To be honest, I don't really know. I've been writing a lot of music. I haven't recorded anything in about 5 years, and I've got a lot of music to get into the studio and record. But I've got to raise some money to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm also thinking about redoing my entire musical setup and going through Ableton, which is through it's like a software where I'd basically be doing the same thing but running it through software on an Apple laptop with it's basically the program called Ableton Live. I don't know much about it, but I know of its capabilities, and I'm thinking about making the change over to that.
Wow. Yeah, a friend of mine uses Ableton. He loves it.
Yeah,
It's a bit overblown. There's a lot in it, but
yeah, for sure. You got to know exactly what it is that what you want, and and people know what they're doing with it to really get my head wrapped around what it is that I need to do.
right. I think
But
I'm
I
not
definitely,
sure. but I think you could even pretty much manage your light show and video behind you through Ableton.
Yep.
I believe
Yeah, you
certain
can.
channels are set to video, and you know, which is pretty amazing. I mean, imagine just hitting a button and everything's pulsating video behind you. Then you don't need
Yeah, for
anybody. You're
sure.
truly one man.
Yep, I've seen some people do that, and it's incredibly impressive for sure.
Yeah. So tell me about all the instruments you play. So you're on stage, you're sitting at
Yep.
a drum set, a digital set like a Roland. But
Yep.
what else do you have around you?
So I've got the drum set there, which has drum it, hundreds of different sounds, and then I've got an Ibanez 5 string bass. I really like having the extra fifth string on the bass to get those rumbling bass notes.
Yeah.
Um, and then I've got a guitar. The guitar that I play goes through a couple pedals. I use a lot of delay on my guitar, and I use the wah pretty much through every one of my songs.
Mm.
Um, and then I've got my keyboard, which is an Akai Miniac. They don't even make it anymore. Uh, so when that thing goes, it'll be a sad day.
Hmm.
But yeah, the Akai Miniac has all sorts of sounds. It has from lead sounds, synth sounds that you can put over it. Really heavy bass sounds. It has key sounds that you can use. It has a vocoder on it where you can press a note and sing into a microphone, and it'll record your voice into whatever
Oh,
note that
right,
you're
right.
playing. Um, and Yeah, that thing has so many different sounds, and you can manipulate them all. So that thing has really helped shape my sound and shape the style of music I play.
Wow. It's a good layer. Yeah, adding keys
Yeah,
changes some things. That's pretty awesome. So it's pretty stripped down though. Bass, guitar, drums, keys, and then you're singing.
and then I
Um,
and then I sing over it. Yep.
yeah. Do you ever come out and say, "Look, I'm just going to do some. I'm just jamming here. I don't know what I'm going to play. I'm just going to play," or is it you really do try to bring your songs fully fleshed out?
Um, you know, um, I have sometimes I'll go off and just kind of go off on tangents, but for the most part, I play my songs. But I'd like to think that I don't play any one of my songs the same way every time. That's something the Grateful Dead kind of famously did, and
Hmm.
um, and it's something that I really like to do, and it keeps it so it doesn't become boring or stale.
Yeah.
It's sometimes if I play a song at 115 beats a minute, I'll slow it down to 100 beats a minute or 95 just to see what it's like. Like just recently, I've played a song at about 95 beats a minute, and I just lowered it to about 65 beats a minute, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. And so I think when I record my album, I'm going to be recording the song at that tempo. So it's all
Wow.
about experimenting and just really, you know, trying things out every which way.
That's cool. That is cool. Um, have any light shows, any video going on behind you, or you like to just have it, let the music do the talking?
I mean, t- uh, a light show is always preferable, and if you can get somebody to come in and do video projections behind you, then I've had that happen a couple times. I've had some really talented buddies be able to hop up with me for a show and do projections while I'm playing, and that's really nice, the light show. But if somebody wants me to just hire me to come play in their basement one day, I'm happy to come down there and play with no light show.
So you'll play backyard parties, right? I mean, if someone wants to hire you because of
Oh
COVID,
yeah.
you'll do all that.
Well, yeah, it would have to be limited. Everybody keeping safe for sure.
Sure, absolutely. So to reach you, facebook.com, Resin Ed. Resin
Correct.
Ed. Resined. From the
Yep.
rattlesnake origins all the way to Ed Resner to Resin Ed.
Yeah.
Who else? We got Paulo Martins. How's it going, buddy? DJ Jazzy Jeff helped put Ableton Live on the map. He had promoted it in some of his YouTube videos. I did not know that.
Jazzy Jeff. I didn't know that either.
Wow, DJ
Huh.
Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah, Ableton's where it's at right now.
Yeah, Ableton's great. Pro Tools. Pro Tools is too complex for me. I'm
Yeah,
on.
that's what I got trained on in school, but
Yeah,
I haven't used it in years.
I'm a GarageBand guy. I just use the GarageBand, and it does the job, but it's limited.
It's amazing what you can do with GarageBand, really.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. So, any
You need
shows coming up?
um as of right now, I have one more show this in Providence at what's the name of the place? Platforms in Providence. But I don't know if there are going to be new restrictions put in place that make the show canceled. I'm really hoping it's not, but so I'm hoping to play that show December 5th at Platforms, and then I'm probably going to be taking the rest of the winter off and hunkering down, staying warm.
Yeah. Wood shedding, learning some songs, writing songs. Well, this is great having you on the show. I absolutely appreciate
For
it.
sure.
I'm going to be listening to more of your music.
Yeah, I appreciate what you do too. I love anybody that's pushing the arts of the local Providence scene.
Pushing the arts. You guys,
Yep.
you guys push the pedal, and I'll just push you guys out there. But yeah, lately I've been doing that a little bit more, putting out creative people, highlighting them. But it's for businesses, entrepreneurs, authors, writers, unique people.
Yeah.
I put a word
Yeah,
out there
mostly from Rhode Island, right?
from Rhode Island. Yep, Warwick, Rhode Island. But
Yeah. Yep.
I put the
Support
word out.
local.
I put the word out on Craigslist in New York City, and I'm running an ad right now in Providence, but one in New York because I'm like, okay, I wonder what I'm going to get. And I got one guy who responded back to me. Well, actually, I got a few people. I got like 3 people, but one guy is really out there. Let me just say that. It when you post in the artist section, saying you're looking for
Yeah.
unique, creative people to promote on a live stream, you
Sounds
get
dangerous.
all kinds of people. Oh yeah, yeah. I might have him on. I mean, he's very talented at what he does, but it's
Oh yeah, I love
it's
weirdos.
it's out there. So, but thanks for coming on, Brian. I appreciate it, and I wish you the
Absolutely.
best of
Anytime.
luck.
Likewise.
I'm going to follow your page, and I suggest everybody watching do the same. Go to facebook.com, Resin Ed. Any closing comments here? Luz says, all people from all walks of life. Yeah, it takes all kinds. So I'm just always fascinated with people, so that's what the show's about. All right, Resin,
Me too.
you take care. Stay on the
Thanks,
green
man.
room. We got a little after party, and I'll talk to you in a second.
Cool. Sounds good.
Alrighty.
Adios.
Okay. Adios. So yeah, just stay there, hang in there for a few minutes. That was great. Man, funky music. That is danceable. If looping wasn't created for dance music, I don't know what it was created for. I mean, just the stuff he does is fantastic. I love those fat synths and bass lines and little clickety little guitars with wah-wah and drums, and I really, I can't wait for COVID to be over so we can go out and enjoy ourselves and dance. But someday we can dream. Bob Goldberg, we can dream, can't we, Bob? Intriguing. Yeah, look up, well, first of all, follow Resin Ed, but also just look it up, Looping Musicians on YouTube. And you'll go down the rabbit hole. It's deep. It's fairly deep. Looping rappers, that's pretty good. Looping beatboxers, that's another one. So they got the mic and they're just beatboxing, and you'd swear it's a live band. There's bass drum, snares, whistles and signals and sirens and everything. It's really cool. What else are you saying? Always dream, yes. Always dream. Nice. Go ahead and give me some likes, people. I could always use a like or two on a Wednesday night. It is hump day, and that's it for the show. But I do have a closing joke. I always have a closing joke. This one I actually wrote. This is the very first time on Wine with Dave where I'm actually going to be saying a joke that I wrote. So I'm kind of proud of it. You're waiting for my joke? Bob's waiting for my joke. All right, which is good because you know what looping is. So here's my joke, be it good or bad. How many loopers does it take to change a light bulb? How many loopers does it take to change a light bulb? How many loopers does it take to change a light bulb? How many loopers does it take to change a light bulb? How many loopers does it take to change? Take care. See everybody next Wednesday. Be good to one another. We all have an expiration date.